Ever tried to hold back tears in public, but your body just wouldn't listen? Today, I'll show you exactly how to stop that before it even starts. You ever had that moment where the tears just hit you out of nowhere? Maybe you're at work, maybe in public, maybe in front of someone you really wish you looked strong in front of, and suddenly your eyes start to sting, your throat tightens, and no matter how hard you fight it, the tears are on their way. It feels unstoppable, right? But here's the shocking truth. Crying isn't always about sadness. Sometimes it's stress. Sometimes it's frustration. Sometimes it's just your body's way of waving a white flag. And yet, there are ways to stop it in its tracks. Techniques you can actually use in the moment to take control, calm down, and hold yourself together. And listen, you're not weak for wanting this. You're human. We've all been there. The difference is, most people never learn how to manage it. They just let it take over. But today, you're not most people. Because in this video, we're going to break it all down. From understanding the science of tears, to rewiring how your body and mind respond, to little hacks you can use instantly. This isn't just about holding back tears. It's about learning to master your emotions before they master you. So, ready to take back control? Let's dive in. You feel the salt behind your eyes. The world narrows. Time slows. In one breath, you can fall apart or find something to hold on to. There is a moment everyone knows. The throat tightens, the chest goes hollow, and a wetness threatens to spill. It happens in boardrooms, at funerals, in elevators, during quiet nights when the lights are off. It arrives without permission and demands attention. Tonight, Chapter 1 pulls that moment apart, not to shame it, but to understand it. Knowing what crying is and why it happens changes everything. It turns an enemy you fear into something you can read, to steer, to control when you must. Tears are not random. They are 3 different languages from the same voice. There are basal tears, the tiny, constant ones that keep your eyes lubricated and healthy. There are reflex tears, the onion, the dust, the smoke that the body floods out to protect the eye. And then there are emotional tears, the ones tied to grief, relief, rage, and awe. These 3 have different jobs, and their differences matter because emotional tears are the ones that carry meaning beyond the eye. Picture a subway platform at night. A young woman stands under a cracked light, phone dead, breath clouding. She looks small. Someone brushes past and doesn't notice. In that instant, the water comes. Not because her eyes need lubrication, not because of smoke or dust, but because her internal world has moved the lever that opens the floodgates. That flood is built from biology and story, hormones, history, and the human need to be seen. Emotional tears are chemically distinct. Scientists analyzing tears have found that emotional tears contain higher concentrations of certain proteins, hormones like prolactin, and trace elements that are not as common in basal or reflex tears. This difference suggests emotional tears do something different inside the body. They are not merely water, but a biological response with a message. When people cry, the body often responds by releasing calming chemicals, oxytocin and endorphins, which act like natural painkillers and mood regulators. That explains the relief some people feel after a good cry. It's not only the act of losing control, it's the body trying to restore balance. But the relief is not guaranteed. The benefit of crying is tightly linked to what happens next, whether someone answers your cry with comfort or with dismissal. The social response determines whether that chemical release becomes calming or isolating. Humans are unusual in that we shed emotional tears. Across recent studies, researchers show tears function as a social signal, a visible, hard-to-ignore marker of vulnerability that changes how other people react. A tear says, "I am struggling, I need help," and in many situations it brings care, closeness, and support. That social function is part of why crying exists at all. It binds people together when words fall short. Understanding this changes how you handle the next time you feel the flood. 3 quick mental switches that come from the science you just heard. 1. Name the tear very quietly. In your head, identify if it's basal, reflex, or emotional. Naming drops its power. 2. Remember you are not broken. You are signaling. That recognition turns shame into strategy. 3. If you need to stop the outward spill, a calm body often follows a calm mind. Slow the breath, soften the jaw, lean into a grounding point, feet on the floor. These are not magic. but they are the first small acts of control you can perform while the chemistry settles. This chapter is not a lecture. It is the map. If crying is a language, this is the glossary. Later chapters are the toolkit, the breaths, the scripts, the posture hacks, the mental pivots. For now, remember this. Tears are information, not indictment. They tell you how your body, your history, and your social world are interacting. Read them right, and you choose your next move. Next, you will learn when tears help and when they hold you back, and how to tell the difference in real time. That chapter gives one short breathing method that shuts the floodgate quickly and another move that turns a public breakdown into a private reset. Stay with me. The next 5 minutes will change how you face the next wave. Chapter 2. When tears are helpful versus when they hold you back. You feel the heat behind your eyes before you notice the world has shifted. A small, private earthquake in the middle of a public room. Some tears land like rain that clears the air. Others feel like quicksand, pulling you deeper. Which kind is this? Tonight we find out. There are moments when crying is an answer. It soothes, it signals, it opens the door to help. Imagine a man at a hospital bedside who lets the tears come, and in doing so collapses the distance between him and the nurse who sits down and stays. That cry calls another person into the room. It changes the map of what happens next. Then imagine a different scene. Someone's eyes well up in a performance review, and the reaction, embarrassed glances, awkward silence, makes everything worse. Both tears, two very different outcomes. Emotional tears are not the same as the drops from rubbing your eyes or cutting an onion. The fluid itself carries different compounds, proteins, and hormones. And crying triggers releases of calming chemicals like oxytocin and endorphins that can ease both emotional and physical pain. That's why sometimes, after crying, people report a strange, soft relief, as if the body has paid down a little of the pressure it was carrying. But crying is more than chemistry. It's a language. Humans are nearly unique in producing emotional tears, and those tears act like a beacon, visible, hard to ignore, a nonverbal message that says, "I'm struggling, I need help." In the right context, that message rewires social behavior. Strangers soften, friends step closer, caretakers stay. The tear itself becomes the signal that invites comfort or connection. That doesn't mean crying is always helpful. Research shows the story after the tear matters. In controlled lab settings, crying sometimes leaves people feeling worse. Arousal spikes, heart rate climbs, and the mood doesn't always come back down unless the social response is supportive. The tear can bring relief only if the next chapter is repair. If the response is dismissal, ridicule, or silence, the supposed benefit can flip into further isolation. And there are times when crying slips from natural signal into a problem. Uncontrollable crying that's disconnected from context. Sudden episodes that people can't predict or stop can be caused by neurological conditions or clinical depression, and it has different roots and solutions than a grief-struck moment. Knowing the difference between a cry that heals and a cry that hijacks your life is a medical and practical distinction. So how do you tell, in real time, whether the tears are helping or hurting? Watch the thread the tear leaves behind. If you cry and the next hour brings calm, a clear head, or someone who listens and changes the scene, that's the helpful kind. If you cry and stay trapped in the same loop of shame, rumination, or functional impairment, or if you find yourself crying at tiny triggers and then avoiding life because of it, that's the warning sign. The difference is not moral, it's practical. One resets, the other repeats. There is a short, powerful trick that tilts the outcome. Name it. Saying quietly to yourself, "I'm overwhelmed," or "This is grief," even if only in your head, engages your thinking brain and weakens the limbic storm. Neuroimaging shows that labeling emotions can reduce the brain's alarm response and give you a foothold to move from reactivity to choice. This is not therapy in a sentence. It's a momentary tool you can use in public or private to change the tear's trajectory. So here's the practical rule to carry with you. Treat each tear like a question, not a verdict. Ask, is this cry changing my world for the better or worse? Will it recruit help or increase isolation? Am I safe to let it out? Or do I need to steer it until I'm somewhere safer? Those 3 questions take seconds, and they shift how you act before the scene decides for you. Tonight's takeaway: crying is neither a weakness nor an automatic cure. It's a tool, sometimes medicine, sometimes salt in a wound. Learn to read which is which, and you stop being at the mercy of your tears. You start directing them. Next chapter gives you two immediate moves. One to shut the flood briefly, and one to turn a public breakdown into a private reset. Use them when you need to, and keep the tears that heal. Chapter 3. Recognizing your emotional triggers. You think it's about a single tear, but it's usually the echo of something older, a shortcut your brain learned years ago. You're in a meeting. A joke lands the way bad jokes do. Thin, sharp, aimed somewhere you can't see. Your chest tightens. Your hands go cold. Before you know it, your eyes sting. What just happened wasn't about the joke. It was about lunchboxes, muffled voices, a hallway you left when you were 13. That is a trigger, a small door in the present that swings open on a room from the past. Triggers hide in plain sight. Their smells, textures, offhand words, the tone of someone you love, even a posture that matches a memory. They do their work quietly, like a light switch wired to a memory rather than a lamp. The more you understand the wiring, the less you're surprised when the lights go out. Imagine two people at a wedding. One hears the toast and thinks, "This is beautiful," and smiles. The other listens and suddenly remembers a father who didn't show up to any toasts. The same sound, two very different circuits lighting up. Triggers aren't moral. They're mechanical. They're patterns your nervous system learned because those patterns mattered once. You don't get to choose what learns you. You can choose how to respond when it calls. So how do you find your triggers before they find you? Start like a detective, follow the body. Triggers enter through sensation long before they become sentences. A tight throat, a hollow ache in the chest, a ringing in the ears. These are the fingerprints. Keep a tiny journal for a week. Note the moment, the setting, the first physical sign. Patterns show up fast. A hallway, a song, the smell of someone's perfume. Small things become the plot points of tomorrow's reactions. Once you spot the pattern, you gain two immediate powers. The first is labeling. Say it quietly, even in your head. That's shame, that's fear, that's grief. Naming an emotion does more than organize your thoughts. It short-circuits the brain's alarm system and gives the thinking part of your brain a seat at the table. Decades of neuroscience show that putting feelings into words reduces the limbic flare-up that hijacks us in the moment. Use this like a one-sentence lifeline. The second is a body-first counter. Breathe like your life depends on the next calm second. Not a deep, cinematic gasping. Slow, diaphragmatic breaths where your belly expands on the inhale and the exhale lasts a beat longer. 5 slow breaths does more than feel better. It activates the parasympathetic system, nudges the vagus nerve, and brings your heart rate down enough that thinking becomes possible again. You can do this standing in a bathroom stall or sitting at a red light. It's invisible but effective. There are choices to make in how you respond. Some people clamp down and hold everything in. Others try to reframe the moment quietly in their mind. The research is clear. Reappraisal, changing the story you tell yourself about the event, tends to protect your mood and your functioning long-term, while suppressing emotion may stop the immediate show but often drives up internal stress. When you learn to relabel and reframe, you're teaching your nervous system a new script. Here's a short field test you can use the next time the chest tightens and your vision narrows. 1. Pause for 3 seconds. Don't move. Give the reaction a name. That's sadness. 2. Take 5 slow belly breaths. Count quietly on the exhale. 3. Ask one quick question. What is this trying to tell me? If it's grief, you might need space. If it's embarrassment, a private reset will do. If it's a flash of something bigger, note it and plan a follow-up when you're safe. Those 3 steps are small, but they break the automatic loop. They change the scene from "I am being taken" to "I am choosing." If you want to be surgical about your triggers, map them. Pick one trigger a week and run a short experiment. When it appears, follow the 3-step test and record the result. Did the breath lower your heart rate? Did naming it blunt the urge to cry? Over time, you will collect evidence that you can manage the response. That data, your data, is the most persuasive thing in the world when you're trying to retrain a nervous system. Not all triggers need to be defeated. Some deserve permission, grief at a memorial, a sob at a goodbye. The goal here is clarity, to choose when a tear will be an act of release and when it will be an accident that costs you control. When a trigger comes from trauma or a pattern that keeps repeating, professional support and deliberate therapies, exposure, EMDR, CBT, can dismantle the wiring. You don't have to do that alone. Tonight's key idea: triggers are old wiring. Your choices are new tools. Find the early signs, name the feeling, breathe, and ask what the tear is trying to say. Do that enough times, and the triggers stop being automatic thieves of your presence. They become signals you can read and answer. Next chapter gives you 2 discreet moves you can use in public. One to stop a tear mid-rise without performance anxiety, and another to transform a public breakdown into a private reset so you can leave with dignity. Use them when you must, and save the rest for when you want release, not rescue. Chapter 4. The power of breathing, calming your nervous system. You feel like you might swallow the world whole. Your chest contracts. The air tastes sharp. 1 minute, you're composing. The next, you're teetering. Breathing, the simplest thing, is your switch. There was a time I taught aerial silks in a gym above rush hour traffic. One student, tears and sweat, halfway through a drop, every nerve alive, voice gone. I paused the class. I asked everyone, just breathe with me. For counts in, hold, 6 out, repeat 5 times. Her body unclenched, voice found itself again. She stayed. That's the gift of breath. It gives you a moment to rejoin yourself. Science backs this up. When you breathe slowly, deeply, using your diaphragm, you activate the parasympathetic nervous system, your built-in calming crew. Your heart rate drops. The flood of adrenaline wanes. Your prefrontal cortex, the part of you that thinks, plans, reasons, gets back online. You're not hostage to hormones anymore. But not all breathing is power breathing. Chest breathing, shallow, fast, is fuel for panic. It tells your brain, danger, when maybe the danger is only a shadow. So what works? Slow in, longer out. Breathe into your belly. Let your ribcage open. Focus on the exhale just a beat more than the inhale. 5 slow breaths can shift you from trembling to steady. Story: a man giving an apology speech at a wedding. He chokes up. He starts swallow, swallow, voice cracking. He remembers breathing. In for 4, out for 6. His voice settles. His eyes stay dry until he chooses to let them go. That pause, breathing, gave him choice. Here's a concrete tool you can use right now, anywhere. 1. Find the anchor. Feet flat, spine neutral, shoulders relaxed. 2. Inhale through nose for a count of 4. Feel belly rise. 3. Hold for a count of 1 or 2, just enough to notice. 4. Exhale through mouth for a count of 6, longer than inhale. 5. Repeat 4 or 5 cycles. After that, assess. Did your throat unclench? Did your pulse ease? If yes, you've lowered the volume of the internal alarm. Don't wait for the breakdown. Practice this breathing when you're calm, in the morning, in the shower, sitting at your desk. It builds your baseline stability. When storm comes, you'll have muscles already trained. Breathing also works in combination. Pair it with naming what you feel, or with grounding, feet, touch, sight, for super fast reset. It's one thing to slow your body. It's another to redirect your attention. The cost of ignoring breath is high. Escalating panic, shame that follows sobs, regret over things said when you were overwhelmed. The reward of mastering breath is dignity, control, the ability to choose when you show what you feel. Tonight's takeaway: your breath is the lever. Pull it slowly. Use it often. Let it be the hand you offer yourself when the world tries to take you under. Next chapter: grounding techniques. The tools that anchor you in body and space when everything inside feels like it's coming undone. Use those with your breath. You'll see how quickly 2 anchor points can stop a slide. Chapter 5: grounding techniques to regain control in the moment. You're in the middle of it. Your eyes are hot. Your throat closes. The world tilts. The tear is almost free. You need something right now. Not tomorrow, not after therapy, but this second. That's where grounding steps in. Grounding is not philosophy. It's physics. When emotions lift you out of yourself, grounding drags you back into the present. Think of a storm balloon tied to a brick. The storm still rages, but the balloon doesn't fly away. Picture a man about to cry in an airport terminal. He clenches fists, shakes his head. It's not working. Then he presses his feet flat to the ground, feeling the floor tiles beneath his shoes. He lists 5 things he sees: the red bag, the silver trash can, the woman's scarf, the green exit sign, the glossy floor. Breath slows. The urge to brake passes. That's grounding at work. Science explains it. Grounding pulls your attention out of the limbic system, the seat of raw emotion, and into sensory input processed by the frontal cortex. By naming, touching, feeling, or counting, you're recruiting the thinking brain to override the crying reflex. Here are 3 grounding moves you can use in public. The 5-4-3-2-1 method. Name 5 things you see, 4 things you feel, 3 things you hear, 2 you smell, 1 you taste. Works anywhere, silently. Cold shock reset. Hold something cold, a glass of water, a steel handle, even run cold water on your hands. Temperature interrupts the spiral. Microtension release. Press thumb and forefinger together hard for 3 seconds. That tiny pain draws focus back to the body and distracts from the tear. Grounding is not about denial. It's about buying yourself space to choose. 1 minute of grounding gives you dignity in a boardroom, composure in an interview, or the silence you need before you walk out of a funeral with your head high. Takeaway: grounding is your emergency brake. Learn it, practice it, trust it. Chapter 6: Shifting Focus, Training the Mind Away from Overwhelm. You can't stop yourself from crying if your brain is chewing the same thought like gristle. Rumination feeds tears. Focus frees you. A soldier once told me this. In the desert, under fire, he felt tears rising when a friend fell. He couldn't afford it. He said he shifted his focus to the weight of his rifle, the angle of the horizon, the task of surviving. Later, when safe, he allowed the tears. Focus didn't erase the grief. It postponed it until he could handle it. Here's why it works. The human brain has limited attentional resources. Emotional rumination hijacks them. But shifting focus to a task, to sensory detail, or to external observation recruits working memory and starves the emotional loop. Tools for shifting focus. 1. Task anchoring. Give your brain a job. Count backwards by 7s. Recall your grocery list, or silently spell words. Mental effort reroutes attention. 2. Visual focus. Pick a single object in the room. Study its color, edges, shadows. Stay with it until your chest loosens. 3. Purpose cue. Remind yourself of the immediate mission. I need to finish this meeting. I need to get through this train ride. Purpose cuts through overwhelm. Shifting focus isn't suppression. It's delay, a way of saying, not now. You reclaim the choice of when to cry, instead of letting the trigger decide. Takeaway: focus is fuel. Where you put it decides whether tears fall or stay. Chapter 7: Body Language Hacks, Using Posture to Manage Emotion. The body weeps before the eyes do. Shoulders collapse, chest caves, head tilts down, and suddenly you're halfway to tears. But here's the secret: posture can work in reverse. Imagine a courtroom lawyer about to lose composure. He straightens his spine, pushes shoulders back, plants feet firm. That change, physical first, emotional second, halts the tears. The jury sees strength. He feels steadiness. Science backs this. Posture influences emotional state. Upright posture is linked to reduced stress hormones and increased confidence. Expansive poses, open chest, hands spread, increase testosterone and decrease cortisol. Your body is the remote control for your mind. Body hacks to stop crying. 1. Chin up, chest open, lifts airway, interrupts the throat tight reflex. 2. Press tongue to roof of mouth, subtle, invisible, distracts and stops lip quiver. 3. Clench thigh muscles. Tension shifts focus downward, away from face muscles that trigger crying. This is not pretending to be a statue. It's rewiring the loop. The body says, calm, the brain listens. Takeaway: posture is not cosmetic, it's chemical. Hold yourself upright, and your tears obey. Chapter 8: The Role of Self-Talk, Reframing Your Inner Dialogue. The most dangerous voice is the one no one hears but you. You feel the sting in your eyes, and the whisper comes, "You're weak. Don't you dare." They'll see. That whisper is gasoline on fire. But if you change the script, you change the outcome. Research shows reframing, telling yourself a different story, reduces distress and makes you more resilient. Telling yourself, "I am managing this. I can breathe. I am in control," flips your nervous system from panic to calm. Practical reframes. From "I can't handle this" This is heavy, but I can carry it for now. From I'm about to lose it, I am noticing my body wants to cry. I can steer it. From I'm embarrassing myself, I am human. I'm allowed to feel, but I choose the time. Words matter. They are instructions to the body. Negative self-talk tells your nervous system to collapse. Calm self-talk teaches it to endure. Takeaway: the story in your head becomes the scene in your life. Write it wisely. Chapter 9. Building long-term emotional resilience. Stopping tears in the moment is survival. Building resilience is strategy. It's how you need fewer emergency brakes in the first place. Think of Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor who lost children, fought wars, and still wrote. You have power over your mind, not outside events. His strength was not in never breaking, but in daily training of thought. Modern psychology echoes the Stoics. Resilience is built through habits. 1. Regular reflection. Journaling or meditation organizes thoughts, reduces ambush emotions. 2. Physical care. Sleep, exercise, nutrition regulate the nervous system, lowering tear thresholds. 3. Microexposures. Facing small stressors builds tolerance for bigger ones. 4. Connection. Support networks reduce the weight tears try to carry alone. Resilience is not about never crying. It's about deciding when, where, and how tears serve you, not sabotage you. Takeaway: resilience is armor. Build it daily, and you won't always fight tears with panic. Chapter 10. When to let the tears flow. Accepting vulnerability wisely. You've fought. You've grounded, breathed, reframed, held posture. But sometimes, the wisest move is surrender. A woman at her mother's funeral clenches fists, stiffens spine, whispers mantras. But when her child slips a hand into hers, the dam breaks. Tears fall, and instead of shame, there is release. Others gather. A circle forms. That cry heals. Science supports this. Emotional tears contain stress hormones. Letting them out can reduce internal load. Crying in safe, supportive contexts can bring closeness, empathy, and recovery. The body's chemistry of oxytocin and endorphins is built for relief. The secret is not to forbid tears, but to choose them. Cry when it heals, not when it harms. Cry in safe arms, not in hostile rooms. Cry when release brings strength, not when it steals dignity. Takeaway: the goal was never to silence tears forever. It was to reclaim choice. You can stop them when you must, and allow them when it matters. That balance is mastery, and that is how you stop yourself from crying. Not by erasing the tear, but by owning it. So here's the thing: tears aren't the enemy. They're part of being human. But the difference between breaking down and standing tall is knowing how to control them, instead of letting them control you. And now, you've got the tools. If even one of these techniques hit home for you, imagine what your life will look like when you actually start using them. Imagine walking into that tough conversation, that stressful day, that overwhelming moment, and instead of drowning in it, you rise above it. That's the power you just unlocked. And listen, if this helped you, don't just keep it to yourself. Share it. Someone you know is probably fighting the same battle, wishing they had these exact tools. And of course, if you want to go even deeper, if you want more strategies, more mental toughness, more ways to build resilience, then stick with me. Hit that subscribe, because we're just getting started, and I promise you, the next video might be the one that changes everything for you. Until then, stay calm, stay strong, and remember, your emotions are yours to command.